Hello, I'm Chaya Srivatsa, and I am a person who wears many hats. I've been in about 6 professions, starting with being a sales assistant in a sari shop. That was my first job as soon as I finished my graduation. And I carry with me the experience I got in that shop. And you know what that is? To convince people to open their wallet and buy something. Life is all about selling and buying. If you can sell something to somebody, that means you have excellent communication skills. That means you are very, very confident about your product. You're passionate about your product, and that's why you're able to convince the other person to buy your product. And this has helped me all along in the many other 6 professions I have been in. But I don't want to talk about all of them. I'm going to focus on basically one profession. It's journalism. And it started from my school days. I had an excellent English teacher who taught us the ABC of A to Z. All about how do you use English in what way, and that has helped me even today. All the other subjects, not so much. History, yes, a little bit, because it told you about the good kings and the bad kings, and I always studied about good kings and wrote all the opposite for the bad kings. Okay, so history gives you another perspective to life, and you know what not to repeat. That's why they say history repeats itself, but you learn not to repeat history. And the other thing is, I remember in school when I was made to read the news in the assembly, my knees were shaking, but I somehow managed it. And that gave me the experience to get over my public speaking fear. So these 2 things, public speaking and writing, have been my, what should I say, basic competences, core competence for me throughout. How did I become a journalist? I don't know, because I didn't do a course in journalism. In the college where I studied, they didn't have this course. But I passionately wanted to write. But I didn't know what to write. So I remember, after I got married, after I had 2 children, my husband, who was in the Indian Navy, was posted in a place where there was nothing much to do except lounge around till he comes home and play cards with friends, things like that. So I started reading a lot, which I started when I was in school. A reading habit is a must if you're going to be a journalist. Okay? So I started reading, and my husband came home and told me one day, "You're all the time reading, why don't you write?" I said, "Oh, come on, I can't just write." He said, "Try." And I did. And the next day, I just wrote about 500 words on how a housewife doesn't have a Sunday at all. It was out of experience I wrote that. And I read it out to him, and he said, "It's excellent. You've written it so well. Send it to Deccan Herald." And I sent it, and they sent me a big fat check for 32 rupees. This was in 1973. I became a journalist that day. And you see, I realized if you want to be a journalist, you don't need to do a course. You need to have discipline. The discipline to pick up a paper, and now of course computer is there, but in my days I had to pick up a pen and a paper and write it and type it. There was no rewriting the way you do in computers today. We had to take off the paper, put in another paper, scroll it and type. And what I learned as a journalist, I was more of an independent journalist, though I did work for Times of India for a short while, just to learn the ropes of, how you write for a magazine, okay? I was a sub-editor with Femina. Subsequently, I have written over 3,000 articles which have been published in about 20 publications. And you know what helped me? Basically my writing skills. Second thing is, you observe people around you. If you're going to be a journalist, be an observer. Every human being, every action that happens, everything around you is a story material. So you've got to have your antenna up, observe, 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 even in your family. And the second thing is deadline. If you say you've got to deliver some article on a certain date, give it on that date. Not say, oh, I had this problem, I had that problem. No. So a journalist has to be on her feet or his feet every now and then. The antenna should be up. And the other thing is creativity. You've got to see an ordinary thing and do something extraordinary about it. I remember writing about my coloring my hair. It was just an ordinary thing, but I wrote a middle for Deccan Herald about when I died, it was called. And everybody said, what's she writing about? See, even your headline should be something which attracts attention. So all this requires creativity. And I think you learn creativity in school when you bunk class and your teacher asks you, where did you go? And you say, oh, my mother wasn't well. See, your creativity starts there. So it's amazing how you can use your skills that you learn in school later in life in a positive way. And I would strongly recommend journalism as a good profession for you, because it makes you a better human being, because you're an observer, you become aware, you use your skills in communication, and more than anything, you're an informer to society. You can put down so many thoughts of yours about whatever is happening around you, not in a critical way, but in an analytical way. And there are people who read that and learn. So, that's my very strong recommendation for you. To improve your communication skill, both speaking and writing skills, and go towards journalism, because today you have electronic journalism, you can go onto the radio, you can go onto television. There are so many channels constantly, putting out software there, and they do need good speakers, writers. So, happy writing.